Hello everyone, and welcome to the very start of my WaddleArt YouTube channel featuring only hands, at least for right now. So exactly what is, who is, and what will happen here on WaddleArt. So WaddleArt is a very small one-person art business by myself, aka Jessica Waddler, and I have been doing art since I was a child, when I used to draw horses that looked like long-necked dinosaurs without hair. And then it just transformed into what it is today, with my art pieces being made into illustrations, stickers, bookmarks, and I will eventually be going into a few other avenues as well, but not exactly sure what. But one thing that I will absolutely say that I will not do, at least at this moment in time, and I have no real desire to, is big manufacturing of the things I make. All of the items that I make here, I design myself, print myself, make myself, cut myself, pack myself, and ship myself. I like that all in one, encompassing everything's within my hands to give to you sort of idea and business. So that being said, an example of the things that I have done recently are my bookmarks, and these are going to be what is talked about in this first video today that you're going to be seeing as my very first full-length art video on my journey. So I hope that you'll stick around. I hope it's something that you will enjoy, and if you have any feedback at all whatsoever, I would love to hear about it. So please let me know what you think. Any feedback is good feedback, and I hope that you enjoy the ride here at WaddleArt. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you soon. Well, now aren't those just so darling? Let's see what we can do to make them better. So what had happened with these, and they're just testers, which is fine. So they definitely printed out beautifully as initial bookmarks. The problem is the backside of it is smearing, and well, it's not meant to hold ink. So that is why you test things out to make sure that the materials that you have are the proper materials, and that's why experimenting is actually a-okay. So let's continue this, shall we? So when it came to starting to figure out which cutting method I wanted to use on the bookmarks, I have a few different methods. One was my X-Acto knife and a really nice backed ruler system. I have a couple of other cutters as well, and I just ended up using one of my big cutters instead of this method because it was easier and gave me a much cleaner line. That's gonna have to be fixed. And that is why you do tests. After the initial testing was done on the photo paper, I didn't put two and two together and did a major facepalm on myself, and I said, hello, photo paper is not meant to be printed on the back. Think about this for a minute. So I decided at that point, instead of photo paper and then seeing about just making that work, let these be test subjects, which is what they ended up becoming. So I went and I thought about it, and I decided that going with 120, 130, and 140 pound cardstock was the right way to go about this. As such, when I printed them out, they were absolutely beautiful, and the coloration was much nicer too. Additionally, with them being that thick, I was able to apply the lamination sheets that I wanted, which included a bunch of different varieties of stars, confetti, sheen, or other whatever it is that I decided I wanted to use for this project. So when I applied them, it was incredibly satisfying to be able to apply my own handiwork to even more of my own handiwork. So when I was applying these, it was incredibly cathartic and made me feel really good to know that everything that I was doing on these bookmarks was because I wanted to do them. And that made me incredibly happy because I knew that what I was doing was made by one person with an intention to be able to give something a personal touch that someone may end up wanting to have for themselves. So I absolutely enjoyed this process. And hopefully it's one that you'll enjoy watching too. It was a little bit chaotic at times in terms of making sure everything lined up and there weren't any bubbles, because like anything else that you work on, there can be issues to where a bubble happens or something goes wrong with the lamination sheet and you have a dud. And I had a few of them during this process. So I'm going to try and make sure that I remember to add that sequence in here so that you can see, well, sometimes mistakes can happen and that's okay. So let's see what happens. So after I started getting the lamination completed on each of the sets of bookmarks that I printed, that began the cutting process to get them all separated from each other. And using my swing line cutter proved to be not only the easiest, but the most precise and the cleanest cut out of all the cutters that I have. So when I went through the process of getting each bookmark cut out with the different methods, this one proved the best and easiest to use, and it also had the cleanest cut. So as I got through making all of the cuts on the bookmarks, I also just wanted to make sure I did a double check just to be sure that there wasn't any excess trim that needed to be resolved. On a few of them, there will always end up being possibly the need to fix something that didn't quite cut right, regardless of whatever machine you use. Now, eventually I would love to get one of the big industrial cutters, not the one that's about the size of a tall person, but one that's desktop size and you can basically just use your own strength to cut with the blade. That would be absolutely ideal. Not ready for that yet, but at some point I will be. And when it came to cutting these into their individual bookmarks, the more I did it, the better I got. So for some of these, they did have to have a little bit of an additional trim, but it wasn't a huge big deal. So I looked at it as a learning process, and I got better as I continued to make more of the bookmarks anyway. So all in all, I had a really great time making these and cutting them up too. So in this next section, because I also do Twitch streaming a few times a week, I wanted to show you that mistakes can happen when you're making things by hand in your art studio. So here's what happened here. Stickers that are available. And Mackinac is just going nuts. Right, let's do one more little wipe off. Okay. All right, I think I got it. Oh, nope, I think I got a bubble. Yep, I got a bubble. I hope it's fixable as I go. It's not. Okay, so I gotta stop. Bubbles happen. Errors happen. Mistakes happen. So sometimes you get a bubble, and that's all right. So I'm going to start on the other side and continue. Does that suck? Yeah, it sucks, but you know, you can be as careful as you want and mistakes will happen. Depends on how you react to them. There we go. We got it. We got it all done. I don't mind that it messed one up. It happens. It is very true. And I know that there's people who'd be like, oh my gosh, well, I can't even afford one. Well, you have to be able to allow yourself to have a mistake happen, because if you always have it be where you can't even have one mistake because of XYZ reason, it'll never work out for you. You have to allow mistakes and just ensure that you do your best to not let them happen again. But sometimes they will. It's an inevitability. If you don't want mistakes and you want them to all look exactly the same, go get it mass produced somewhere. When you're getting it done this way, you're getting something handmade, unique. Most of the time it has variations from the others that are around it. So try and look at it as what you're getting is something directly from the hands of that artist and not from the hands of a machine. So that's something that I hope people realize when they're looking at or witnessing things being made, is you're looking at something being made that's unique or one of a kind or will never be mass produced anywhere. So the only way to get it is to literally get it from that person. And it looks like there was, quite a few errors. Okay, well, I did mess up. So there's a bunch of bubbles here, which I didn't know, and right here. I'm going to see if I can fix it. I know I can fix the one bubble. Let's see if I can fix the other one. But this is where it can get a little hairy, a little tricky, a little messy. I just have to be very slow and methodical about it. I got a bubble here and here. Oh, looks like Vet got himself a very nice big box of goodies in the mail. Unfortunately for the one, the bubbles are not able to be removed, so this is 2 out of 4 that are good. But it's okay. That is all right. It's not a big deal. 2 out of 4 is all right, especially considering I can always print another page if I'm really that worried about it. So I'm not too worried about it. I can always print more if they're in demand. At this point, it was all about the perfecting of what the heckles the bookmarks were going to look like. So I started figuring out if I wanted to have a small, medium, or large type of edging on the bookmarks, or even have an edging at all. I decided that I liked the rounded corners, and I thought it also made it look much nicer. Because who on earth wants to accidentally poke themselves with a very stiff cardstock bookmark edge? I don't think anyone really wants to do anything like that. Additionally, I did a couple of testers. Well, not testers in the sense of they're not any good, but testers in the sense of here's ones with ribbons already pre-made and ready to go. So I went ahead and I put in the hole punch to be able to put the ribbon through at the top, just to be able to see if it looked nice or not, as well as to figure out should the ribbon go in the front ways or the back ways so that it looked nice on whichever side the primary loop would end up being. Unfortunately, some of the video did get a little bit cut off, but it happens. Welcome to very first video making experiences. I'm WaddleArt. So hopefully you'll bear with me, but I did really enjoy putting in the ribbon for these. I did have to ultimately fix the positioning of the ribbon. I believe that on this one it went on backwards, so I did have to pull it back out to make sure that the crossband on the front was on the front and not on the back. So it was corrected, and hopefully it looks better that way. In this portion, I did go ahead and finish up the 3 out of the 4 bookmarks that were going to end up having their corners rounded, as well as ribbons put into the tops of them. I wanted to see what they all looked like together with all of their ribbons, as well as just to make sure that it was something that I wanted to add to the bookmarks or not, or at least have it as an option if people so desired it, which they can. On my site, which is WaddleArt.com, in my shop, you have the option to be able to choose whether or not you want a ribbon on whatever bookmark you decide on, and you're able to choose the color you so want. That being said, I absolutely hope that you enjoyed this video compilation of my tiny little trip through making bookmarks. And I hope that it was something that was able to maybe inspire you, or maybe you're wanting to see a brand new artist's video from the very beginning and see what their journey is going to end up looking like. And if that's the case, I'm absolutely glad that you're here, and welcome to WaddleArt here on YouTube. My shop, as I had said, is up with bookmarks, print, stickers, and more will be added in time. But just like anything, that will take some time. All of that said, thank you so much for being here. I am so glad that you came to find me on this portion of the internet. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear from you. I would also like to know, what tips or tricks would you recommend in the future for upcoming videos and the things that could be made that you would enjoy? I'd love to be able to hear what you have to say. So until then, thank you so very much for being here. I hope that you were able to have a great time watching, and hopefully this maybe inspires you. So until the next video, thank you so much, everybody, and keep on waddling. Enjoy!